Today we're going to for sure dive into your hair story. And I remember I didn't go back and find exactly what you had said about your mom, but I was like, wow, I want to know more about this person and if her influence on you in, and even like I love hearing the reactions moms have, like no matter what age we are, when we do something, when we change our hair, they can't, I don't know. I don't, no offense to moms. I'm just it's what it is. They have
We will
a strong opinion about what we're doing with our hair.
we will always be their babies.
Yeah.
And I believe it was my mother is was an herbalist. Um, what was what you were interested in, I think.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, we can dive in. I think it's a very there's a lot of working parts to this story because the reason that I had been dyeing and changing my hair so many times was because I was part of a dance crew and we were doing like photo shoots that month. So it was like I had a different color hair almost every week. And I got into a point where I felt like my hair was, it wasn't fully fried. It was just unhealthily dry at the tips. And I'd been keeping up with routine and maintaining it and doing the best I could with like, argan oil and hair masks and like the full scope of things to try to keep on top of it and keep it as healthy as I possibly could. And I had gone through so many colors and I was like, all right, I need to take a break. And I didn't even think about it. So I dyed my hair, back to black. And I think about a week later, I was like, oh, I should probably think about like straightening my hair so that I don't have to, manually do it with an iron every day. And I have all the stuff to relax my hair. And because my hair was black, it didn't register to me that I had dyed it. And so I put relaxer right into it. And then I instantly, I knew as soon as like I had looked up from applying the relaxer, I was like, I've royally messed up. I fucked up. I hope you don't mind me cursing, but like that was a oh, I fucked up bad. And I poured, the neutralizer in my hair. I set it as much as I could, but it was far too late. My hair was gummed. It was like you could just pull my hair and it was just coming off at the spots. And I was like, well, we are going to try to save this the best that we can. So I ran downstairs and I grabbed mayonnaise and I smeared that onto my head like I was a Wonder Bread sandwich. Actually, it was probably more like slathering it on like it was making chicken salad or something. Uh, and I let that sit, and it did curb some of the damage. It did help a lot in terms of not, frying all the ends. But ultimately, because it was because so much had been done, I ended up having to just, shave my head down to almost monk status, I would call. And my mother's reaction was one of horror and I mean she was more upset about it than I was. She was just like tearing and she was like, "What happened to your hair?" Um, and I was just like, it's hair. It grows back. It's not the end of the world. Nothing's happening to me. I made a mistake. And that's all. But she was just like, why didn't you think about, X, Y? The things that parents always do is it's criticizing, but out of concern and care. And I very much was just like, Mom, it happened. There's nothing I can do now in this moment to change it. Um, and I also have wigs if it really like bothers you that much that I look like a monk from a temple. Uh, and she was like, I mean, maybe. So I did wear a couple of wigs out every now and then if it was like an event or something. But yeah, I mean, my hair grew back. As you can see, it's fine. So that is my crazy hair story. And oh man, what a time that was. Oh.
How old were you when you were in the dance?
How old was I? I was like, I was, oh my God, was that like almost a decade ago? I was like 30, 20. I was 25, 26.
Nice.
Um, yeah, somewhere around there. I can't believe that was so long ago now.
That
Perspective
sounds so
and
fun.
I love dancing. So we were part of a dance crew that would do like K-pop cover dances and make a couple of our own, and it was just fun exercise and a great excuse to be with friends and work out and keep each other healthy and really keep in check with one another and you know enjoy being fun and silly, but also getting exercise and movement in and bonding. Um, I loved those days. So yeah, yeah. Oh.
Did you guys did you ever do each other's hair?
Yes, we definitely dyed each other's hair, cut each other's hair, just had fun with it and just, really enjoyed. I mean, it's kind of intimate, you know? It's trusting that the other person knows what they're doing and trusting them to listen to your direction if you're like, hey, I need this part, cut a certain way, or I only want, X amount off my hair and being able to do it. And I've never professionally done hair. I've just kind of picked up and learned things as I go. Um, but yeah, it was a wonderful time.
Of
Highly, highly recommend it.
yeah, I love dance. I did it in high school and I would have loved to make something of it to like eventually I don't even know if I knew of any dance crews back then, but and it, it's never too late. But it's just when you're young, you just your body is, you know, just able to do that physical stuff a little bit different. But I feel like because I did a little bit of a lot of different activities, it's definitely helped me as I've gotten older. I don't know if you've noticed that, like in your friends who have some kind of dance background or gymnastic background, that they tend to I don't want to say age better, but there's something about being able to that muscle memory of what you did kind of if you reactivate it, it kind of stays with you, which is neat. I've noticed like my
Very much
mom
so.
did ballet when she was young and she still has this incredible flexibility for somebody, over 70. She's more flexible than me. And I'm like, and that was a lot of training that just kind of, so now when she works out too, she can tap back into that faster, which is really neat.
I fully agree. I did martial arts from the time I was really, really young to like, I want to say almost early early 20s, late teens. And I stopped doing martial arts because of several injuries that happened. And I also wasn't interested in like heavy competition for martial arts. I did it very much more for the discipline and the exercise and the mindfulness of it. And I mean, I'm still very thankful that I'm fairly flexible. Um, but it also helped lend in dance because, working in a kitchen, you don't think about being able to move and weave between people and between all the moving parts that are in a kitchen and everything that is going on and the hustle and the bustle and the potential dangers that could pop up because um anything could happen. And between dance and martial arts, I was really able to just like kind of squiggle and wiggle through people and figure things out. Oops, sorry. And keep on going and manage, I mean, kind of also manage stress levels to a degree, but it was really nice just getting the hustle and figuring things out and moving along and not having to worry about, oh, I'm I have to weave between two people that are standing with like very heavy loaded trays and I don't want to knock them. It was just intuitively trusting your body to know how to move and wiggle through and not interrupt someone else's flow or worse.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like too, are you able, I'm sorry to go into dance so much, but I'm gonna go with it.
You're fine.
Are you a, when you're out, or yeah, when you're out, have you ever spotted, you like catch somebody's movement and you're like, I bet they're a dancer?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I like it's really funny you should mention that because there's like one moment in my mind that I immediately went to when you said that, and it was I was shopping during Christmas time, like maybe a couple, like oh man, at least pre-COVID now, before the pandemic, and there was just this one guy who was he was feeling himself. He was stalking, like I can't remember if this was Macy's or Sephora or something, but he was stocking makeup and feeling himself and was just kind of grooving, but then every now and then he would like pull a very smooth, fluid moment in rotation. And I'm like, you have to dance. There's no way you don't to some degree. You have to, like, you have to. It brought such a wonderful smile to my face though, because not everyone lets themselves feel feel themselves and be with themselves and enjoy it, even if you are just stocking an item. It, little moments.
Did, do you have any, did you ever have to do any other, of your family members' hair or
Oh
clipper
yeah.
cuts? Yeah.
I cut my husband's hair. I cut my own hair usually, and then I cut my mother's hair. So more or less, yes and yes.
Yeah, I'm asking because something's been brewing inside of me where I get these images of interviewing somebody and they their profession isn't hairdressing, but they know and they love doing they enjoy doing hair, whether it's styling or cutting. And I'm like, that would be so, I keep having this feeling. I'm like, that would be so fun. Like what if I when I am able to take hair stories on the road to be interviewing somebody, and even though I'm the hairdresser, I'm getting like a haircut by somebody who's in a different profession. And I don't know, it just felt like really fun. And I listened to a lot of stories and I've heard people, we'd be surprised, who have completely different careers, and you would never assume, like, behind the scenes, they really enjoy cutting hair. And then there's also, if you're cutting a lot of hair, they're like, what are you doing cutting hair? In some places, they try to say, like, you shouldn't be cutting hair, as if it's not the most, that's like saying you shouldn't be giving yourself a massage. It's weird that they're trying to say, like, are you credited to be doing hair, and that we have these weird, I mean, like, I get
What?
it for sanitation, but it's just so much like, that is such a silly thing. So I'm such an advocate for um people learning to cut their own hair. It's so nice to not have to do something, right? And to just have somebody come in and uh take a load off, do your hair. I love when I'm able to blow dry people's hair because it's a lot, and they get a whole blowout and they could just sit and relax. But there's, I don't know. I feel like just doing our own hair and doing our family's hair is so culturally rooted that I would love to explore that. And that's why I asked, and I'm glad you were able to say yes. Because that's actually like how I started. My grandpa had MS, and my dad, I grew up watching my dad give him the, buzz cuts. And immediately that was my first introduction to like being able to like cut hair, and then once I could hold the clippers, my dad would let me do it. And I couldn't mess up. There was always a guard, but it was so nice to be included in my grandpa's life that way. It was, and I think that fascination because my dad let me do it was always there where I was like, this is part of my life. And I love hearing
I
how
love
other
this.
people do that, whether it's braiding, like depending on your length of hair, just when I hear families spending that time, and just especially if people have a lot of hair, and you have to put the product in and you're trying to um that there's something so human and bonding and part of like who we are. So thank you for letting me ask you that. I was just sharing like why I went there.
Of course. And what a beautiful way to be in your grandfather's life. Like, so I started cutting my own hair because at 14, I was already working and like there's a lot more to that. But I was paying my own bills and had to, cover my own stuff. And I was like, I can either shell out money to get my hair cut, or I could save that money and cut it myself. Um, and it just kind of developed from there. And I mean, I also cut my friend's hair for a long number of years, not just my family members. I won't say that I love doing hair, but the way that I approach it is kind of like a sculpture,
Yeah.
because it kind of is. But it's a sculpture that can also move and change depending on what's in it and what's it's styled with, and even on like the weather. And I found that very interesting, and that's how I kind of like, I won't even say got the joy of hair cutting. I won't lie and say that I love cutting hair. Um, but I don't have the disdain that I used to when I was younger, like, oh, I have to do this again and it's, a chore. This is an intimate moment where I get to be with this person and they're trusting me to cut their hair, but also make them presentable and feel more like themselves. Um, but I deeply love color work. Shocking, absolutely nobody. I love color work. I love mixing colors. I love dyeing hair. I've had the itch to dye my hair for weeks now, and I'm like, don't do it. Don't. What I want is not easily attainable for Asian hair. But
Color
I don't know the
wise.
thoughts.
Yeah, color wise.
Yeah, so I really want to have my lavender tips back. But in order to get that, I would have to go to orange for a week, give my
Yeah.
hair that break, and then tone it to like pretty much past platinum for the purple to take well. And I don't know if I'm willing to like sacrifice that to do it, if that makes sense. It's also the maintenance of keeping up with, colored hair and the special shampoo and trying to keep it healthy. And I mean, I'm not a young spring chicken. I shouldn't just willy-nilly, straight up heavy 3 to 4 step process my hair. But the thought's there. And I know that if I wanted to just like dye my hair a color, that would be fine. But to go to straight platinum and then lavender tips, I'm like, that's that's an undertaking and a commitment that I have to really think about before I want to just do.
Yeah. It's the tricks of hair. The, the tips and tricks of hair. Uh it's all like possible. It's just the cost. Uh and that's what I learned is like even it's not even like the time, it's just the cost. And then if we want to do it faster and correct, it costs more. Um, and that's where it's like hair is almost like a hobby because not that all do all hobbies require funding to a point? I feel like it's really hard to do a hobby without like I'm thinking about it right now, like even ceramics, right? Like if you have your own kiln, you're spending a lot on electricity unless you have something hooked up, right? Where um and then so you gotta yeah. I think all hobbies and I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm very into texture. So when I'm a paper, you know, my journals like have to have I've always been very odd like that. So when I've drawn on paper and used different materials, it's always like I'm having this like full on experience. I'm like, this has to be some, I don't know, it's just a human experience or a neurodivergent experience where I'm very sensitive to the different graphites and the texture of the paper. And it creates some
A
extra
fellow
joy.
neurodivergent. I'm a fellow neurodivergent. I fully understand. Like, there are certain papers and notebooks that I've gotten. I'm like, this paper is not going to cut it for what I want to do. I don't like how this feels. This pencil does not work with this. This pen does not flow on this. This paper is, for lack of better words, not suitable.
Yeah.
Like, no, I get it. It's a thing. It's also so, especially with journaling, it's so deeply intimate that you want that moment to really be that moment. It
Mm.
is that encompassing zen of I'm writing, I'm drawing, I'm working on it. I'm doing something that is deeply, deeply grounded within myself, which we don't get to do often, especially in modern day times in society. So it's oh, I totally get it. Like I bought a stone paper to just try out the stone paper notebook, and it's a great concept and it's a great idea, and I love that it's recyclable and it's erasable and all that. I don't have pens that I enjoy writing on that paper with,
Mm.
except for like an oil marker.
Wow.
But then it takes so long to dry that I'm like, is this worth it? And this also kind of goes back to the cost of every hobby. I mean I agree with you. I think every hobby has a cost, even, even singing to an extent. Your cat is adorable.
This is Noodle, and he and that's a fake plant because plants don't make it in here, but also he really loves plants. He loves sitting next to plants, and he was like this since a kitten. And we've had lots of cats, and I've never seen a cat. We'd be growing tomatoes, or which one would get really big? Chard would kind of start to do an overlay, and he would just be under there like it's so funny. Um, but yeah, I put out a vibe when I'm talking to somebody and he picks it up. So he always comes. Like he'll be off and it's not just hearing my voice. I feel like I start to radiate a different energy and he'll come over and be like,
What's
want to
up,
be close
Mom?
to that. Yeah.
I
Do dogs
love
do that? Do they
that.
pick up
Say and Kaimo very much are like, I mean, they're Formosan mountain dogs, and they're such a wild and like they're a very wild and old breed. They are both mixes, but Say and Kaimo definitely pick up on things so intuitively, and they know when they need to be quiet naturally. I don't have to. I generally don't really even have to give a command or something. I can look at them and they'll just know like, oh, okay, it's time to go upstairs. It's time to go outside. It's time for, um, and like certain days they'll be like right next to me, and then other days, they kind of have their own personality of they don't have to be with me 24/7. Like, yeah. So someone's just laying on, I have a huge dog bed over here and Momo's just sleeping on it. And then I have several other dog beds around all around the house because they're spoiled and, we treat them like our children. Um, but even with all of that, like I changed my ottoman or my original office chair to three ottomans so that they could be here with me and not fight for, lap time or I want to cuddle, but you can't because it's not doable in any kind of office chair really. Um, but it works out well. It's wonderful being able to work with them and have them just sit next to me. And I love it when Kaimo like takes an interest to what I'm drawing. And it's not everything. And it's the same with Saya as well. They both have the things that they are gravitated towards that I'm working on. So I think, yeah, yeah, they do in their own way as well.
I love that. I was driving home last night, and it was there's so many new cars that have these really bright LED lights, and it had been a while since I had been out at night, and I I had a flash of driving when I was working driving into Hollywood, and I just felt like I don't miss this at all. Like, I'm so glad I'm in, like, sometimes things like, I'll be like, wow, things are really hard. And then I'll have these moments where I'm like, I am so glad I'm in right now and I'm not doing that because I remember how it felt. And I'm sharing that because the lights triggered that where the gratitude, I was like, thank God, I'm not sitting in that for 2 hours coming home like I used to and getting home and just being like almost I think the feeling of like hungover passed because I would have to do extra fancy stuff. I'd be drinking alkaline water and all these things to not feel like I was dying being out of the house that long. But my point is the joy of doing life with my cat now. Like he went through a lot with me during the pandemic, but I totally feel that too. Um, that also hit just being able to, see him like that, like I don't know. It's just totally different and I love it.
It's
But as you
it's
you made me
being
think of
with
that.
them. It's being with them. Like, and oh, there's such a duality about lights and cities across the world and how different they are. Like you said that the headlights triggered a memory of being in Hollywood, and I mean, not every city is made the same. Like, I do not wish to live in any major mega metropolitan in the United States that I've been to so far. Please, no one come after me. But I dearly miss Taipei a lot because it's a city of 2 million people, but it's still quiet. It is still, there's still vivid lights, but there's a silence to it that is just so, it's not even like a liminal space. It's still an intimate though moment of safety and people living their lives at all hours of the day, but it's so it's something that I deeply crave sometimes to just be in a city and walk around at night and just take photographs for references or just enjoy the sounds and sights and sometimes the like and it's Taipei so there's night markets and street stalls and vendors not quite everywhere but sometimes you'll like round a corner and you'll just smell something you're like I have to find this place. I have to figure out what this is. I want to try this, which is so funny because there's like no food stall or like night markets or vendors like that here for the most part, and it's such a difference. But yeah, sorry, I made me think of that.
I'm so glad you shared that. I think that's
Mm.
the what I love about being able to have experience like that. Like it is such a privilege to be able to travel, and I think it will become more so in the future. I mean, I hope it wouldn't, but I have a feeling it will be. Um, just what you're exposed to and how I'm cold is different everywhere. Like the feeling of cold, the feeling of the sun is different, and the lights are different, right? Like it's just it's a whole I can imagine that as you were talking about it versus my experience on the Hollywood freeway and so much, so many Cybertrucks and so many Teslas and other cars with the Wi-Fi, and you're all like scooting along at this speed, and it's there's also the whiff of city. I'm sure that certain
That,
parts of
yeah,
London and Paris are like this too, where there's beautiful spaces, but there's also like right on the freeways like a different vibe. And um I've also been in different places where I can kind of imagine what you were sharing, and it helps me because I'm so visual. It was like a really nice experience right now, like trying to imagine that, and the quiet, but with the awakeness, like the humanness of people being eating and just doing what we naturally do, talking
in a
and
state of
different.
being.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Like, the one thing I think the thing that I hear the most about Taipei is there is so much greenery in this city for it being a concrete jungle, but there's also so much nature, like with houses in my neighborhood that just have plants filling their entire windows, like you cannot see into their house, or parks that were just built in, even if it's maybe a quarter of an acre in size. But there are these ancient trees with these beautifully detailed, mangled, and history-rich trees, and not well, yes, a tree, but the roots of them, and I mean, some of these plants I've seen for decades, and in a sense have kind of watched me grow up. And I enjoy going back to those places just to see, how the tree's doing, how that space is, what's changed, and it's something I miss about Taiwan, especially because I don't really get that here, because here it's kind of a, oh, this tree's gone, we're not planting anything else, or this is a city space, there's no trees, it's just going to be a strip of not even grass because it's not some it's an afterthought, versus being in a place where nature is a forethought and it's a part of it. It's an ecosystem, and I mean, it's wonderful that when I leave my house, there's pockets of just trees, nature, grass, and whatever's growing, and you can still see lizards. Might have been a hobby of mine to go catch them, and snails that are like, I don't know, the size of like a plum or an apple even, and they're just like on the side of a building, or geckos just, chilling out and eating bugs under a light sometimes. And it's so different here. Um, but that is very much a, like, the duality of one step in one country, one foot in tradition, and one foot in the modern world. But I I miss that so much sometimes. Um, and I mean, of course, I live in the suburbs here, so it's also very much like I have to have a car here because it's unrealistic for me to walk a mile to the entrance of my neighborhood to then walk more to go grocery shopping, versus, I mean, over there you could probably find a market, or even like a chain supermarket within a block. Like from my house to the end of my cul-de-sac, which is about what, 7 or 8 houses, is the entire morning market, Yonghe morning market, and it's an experience. It's loud, it's noisy, it's a little pungent, sometimes it's a little fishy, but there's also so many wonderful, beautiful things about it, like the fruit that comes in, the fresh flowers, the connections you make, and and the people that are there doing, just what they do. and experiencing it as I know I'm not considered a local, but they know who I am. Like I'm usually referred to as the American, even though I'm a dual citizen. And they're like, "Oh, you're back. You know, how have you been?" There's a friendliness and a warmth to it that I feel is lacking here. It's lacking the right word. Yeah, I guess so.
I feel like there's everybody has yeah, yeah, I don't I was like about to say something. I'm like, "Ooh, that's generalizing," but and I haven't been overseas. Um I mean, I've been to Paris, but I haven't been I would love to see Taiwan. I would love to have that experience. There's so many getting my genealogy. Is that right? I don't know if I haven't like talked about this in so long. I don't know if that's the right word, but it was neat to see how much of the world makes up who I am. And looking at all the different places my ancestors are from just blew my mind. And I like, I'm never able to go back to what I thought. And just being raised to think I was just three things when I'm not even the proper ratios of those three things that I thought, you know? Uh, but I do feel like it might be easier to reach out and touch somebody in other places, right? Where there's even just to make somebody tea, you know, like culturally, there's just this different connection with like welcoming people into your home. Where if I'm out in LA, I don't feel like I can just lean over and touch the shoulder. I can, right? And it will probably be fine. But just to lean over and touch someone's shoulder with my own and go, "Hi, how are you? What are you doing?" Or, you know, or to, if I were making something, to be like, "Would you like to try this?" They're like, "What? Who are you? Why would I try your thing?" You know? So there is this, yeah.
No, I get
I
it.
feel
I
that, and I miss that too. I mean, miss it maybe from a past life, but I do feel like I've always been like, what is it? I used to think I was adopted because I felt like this can't be. Like, is this the right place? Like, where did you guys pluck me from?
I don't think missing it is wrong necessarily though either. It's also like a human crave and need
Mm,
to be connected within one another, even in a larger ecosystem and a community. I mean, we're lucky enough now that we have, online and school, and it's fantastic that we can connect with people and get different perspectives. But there is that whole like, I would love to give you a hug if you're, okay with that in person. We're very touch oriented, we're very sensory oriented, and like I I love flowers. I have way too many flowers probably at this point, and now that it's winter and all of them are inside, I'm kind of like, okay, it's jungle season. But I love walking down alleyways and just neighborhoods and just seeing what plants people have. And sometimes, like, I'll lean over and smell a flower and stand there for maybe a little too long. And I've had people like walk out and they're like, are you okay? Can I help you with anything? I'm just like, I'm just smelling your rose and it smells fantastic. And then, and then that light up moment where it goes from like, why are you here to pride and like joy and they're like, oh, well, no, that one smells all right. You need to smell that one. And that cycle just kind of like builds and yeah, it's it's that interconnectedness and really it's warmth. It's that warmth. It's also super convenient though. Uh, like convenience in the best sense of it's better for the ecosystem and also deeply better for the human body when you're walking everywhere and doing everything just because it's easier to do that than to get a vehicle. Like, I mean, Taiwan is, for reference size and people who don't know, Taiwan is half the size of the state of Virginia with like double the population, maybe double and a half or something like that. And even then, it's heavily populated around the edges, but the mountains are still very much so amazing and wild and so full of life. Like, you know, occasionally driving down a mountain road, you'll still see a beautiful blue pheasant that you're like, oh, you know, there is a road here, but this is still very much nature's territory. This is still very much not claimed, in a sense. Harmony within the world. Like, you can have both.
You're making me want to try drawing the nature around me right now. And I'm
I
sure I can
love
do it
that.
anytime, but yeah, I, I haven't felt that urge until you were talking about it. And it's
I
this,
love that.
I've never drawn plant before. So I think that's it too, is I not that I like challenges. I like to see I'm curious. That's it. I'm curious. I'm like, "Woo, what does that feel like?" Like when first drew fur and now I have to draw a blanket that's textured. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is so strange. Like how do I create this?" And the experience of, doing it really for the first time. I mean, I'm sorry if this sounds weird. It's just so what my mind does as I'm doing it, and I'm just constantly judging it, like, oh gosh. And then if I sit with it and it starts, I'm like, oh look, it's becoming, and I guess any craft we're doing with our hands, even hair, right? The practice of it, you're just like, oh, and then you do it again, and it's like, okay, hey, this is starting to be something, and then a sense of your own again, it is our own perception of how much we've been able to mimic a picture or something we're looking at to paper. But that's where the joy, I think, comes in, right? Even if it doesn't really look like it, it's like, but this is neat because it's what came out of me in trying to duplicate. I don't know.
I think you're onto it though. I mean, the thing that I hear the most, especially within, students in ACI and people who like I don't even want to say desperately want to draw or create is I can't do that. I don't have that talent. I
Mm.
don't have that skill. And my reply has always been it's mileage. It's practice. It's I'm not even saying it has to be full consistent practice. It's being able to return to it and almost get it down to muscle memory and know that if you put in the time and the work and the effort and learn what works and how to create a specific, even a specific pencil mark and how you achieve that, and you carry that forward, and then you compound that with things that you're learning from really understanding and evaluating shapes and ellipses and cones and breaking things down, it all adds up into endless potential in what you want to create. But you have to be, I mean, it takes a lot though. It takes bravery to do that. It takes letting yourself play, letting yourself be curious, letting yourself learn, letting yourself be, letting yourself exist and allowing yourself and giving yourself permission to just be and exist and do. And I feel like a lot of modern day culture is very much like you have to know what you're doing. You have to be, XYZ. And it's very like this chunky block stamp of like, but we we as people, we're special in so many ways, but we're also not. And it's pulling ourselves out enough to see where our perspective is and lies, and then being able to see the perspective around us and harmonizing yourself with what you want to do and how can you what can you bring to the table that, does no harm to others, that brings yourself to a better place, that also allows your inner self to feel at peace and and breathe and exist and you know go with that life and not negate someone else's hard, because everyone's heart is different, everyone's easy is different, everyone's capacity changes sometimes multiple times a day, and it's those little things that are just so undervalued or not even like not noticed, even. It makes me kind of sad, but also like I understand why, but I don't agree with it. I kind of actively fight against that, which is probably why I landed where I am, and I do so many random different things that people are always just like, "You're absolutely crazy. Do you even sleep? How do you function?" And I'm like, I function because this is me. I function because I have to create. I have to cook. I have to draw. I have to sing. I have to garden. I have to do these things because it feeds me. Um, and nothing could stop me from doing some aspect of that, in any way, shape, or form. Like if I, if heaven forbid something was to happen to me and I couldn't like draw with my arms, I have a mouth. I can figure it out. Technology's come a long way. Like, but I would have to create one way or another. And I feel a deep need to just make. And it's not just like, oh, I'm gonna make something, but like to make. And if someone resonates with it, I love that. And I hope that every piece that I've ever made, someone will resonate with it eventually. And maybe I don't get to see that, but that's okay. Um, but yeah, sorry. Philosophical rant over.
I relate to that, yeah. And seeing sometimes when people are like crocheting in public or in a conversation, you'll see one person doing a thing and you're like, and I'm like, no, I mean, it could be for some a way to cope with social dynamic, but also all when I see it, I think like, oh, that need to be making, and how neat that is. I think if we were to meet in person, we would probably see a lot of elements of how that's innate in both of us. This create, whether it's food or making tea for somebody, or you know um, somebody having an idea and running with it in person. I'm very mu-
Oh,
I like that.
please.
So my
If
sister,
you are
if we yeah,
if you are ever in the Virginia area, please let me know. I would love to cook for you and make tea and like it's just such food is one of those things that really is an amalgamation of love and culture, heritage, care, comfort, and art into this one beautiful atmosphere that is also something that you can eat. Um, deeply, deeply love feeding people, and I think I get that from my grandmother. Uh, but yes, please let me know if you're ever here. I would love to have tea and food with you, and like let you try my uncle's tea. Like, mm,
I drink coffee, but I nobody knows this. It's not a big deal. but I am at my heart a tea person. Um, when I get into teas, I can really go a little bit more obsessive than with coffee. So, and I've had that experience. So I really, and then it kind of, when I did have money flowing, tea could be like this hobby. So I really enjoy the effects of different teas. And oolong have a great, and I know tea affects everybody different, but I love green tea. I love oolong teas. Black teas don't do well on my body because I used to love a good chai and different, not just the sweet, not necessarily the sweet chais, but just the basic chai. And yeah,
I'm a sucker for a good Darjeeling. I love tea. I mean, I'm Taiwanese. My uncle makes tea. I was raised on tea. I do drink coffee occasionally, but like, oh, if you're an oolong drinker, I have to send you some of my uncle's high mountain oolong tea. I'm biased because I've been drinking this since I was a child. Um, but in wanting to open a tea house and doing hundreds of tea tastings and tea testings, and I mean, like mountain days of research on tea tastings and tea testings, and I'm pretty sure I was like wired for that entire month. Like, I still love his the most. And I don't want to say that I love his the most because it's like my uncle made it, but there's a quality to it, there's a taste to it, and I mean, there's definitely a connection and a memory there. But you can feel it, and you can feel how the tea changes as you brew it. And not every tea can have multiple steepings and brewings, and his does. And his is also so bold, but not, it doesn't punch you in the face. It's, yeah, it's interesting. I will absolutely have to send you some.
I would love that.
Yeah, we'll talk after this so I can but oh, and my uncle's such an interesting man too, but I feel like everyone in my mom's side of the family has either multiple degrees and does multiple jobs or is just very multifaceted, which is somewhat how I got here, I guess. Uh well, apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
What got your mom into herbalism? Like how did right? Like at some point
Ah.
was there a health issue, health concern or I mean, there's um there's some I don't want to call it what am I trying to say? Mm, the I it's a little bit different than just food in my opinion when we're making like concoctions and blending like specific medicines. It starts to take on this maybe everybody I'm an overthinker, but last night I was mixing something up really late and I really got into this like I'm like, wow, there's something different here when you're mixing plants together for a medicinal and I guess food can be like that too. So maybe that does happen. But I have always felt like herbs are a bit stronger, right? And that's why we dilute them or extract them and they have these effects on us like medicine. Anyway, so I do wonder if something like if you could say like if you know what got your mom into herbalism, it'd
Absolutely.
be
So my mom's mother, my grandmother, was sick fairly early in my mom's life. So my mother ended up taking care of her siblings. And there's a huge age gap between my mom and her youngest sibling, which is like I think almost 10 years. So like she had to, take care of the household while going to school. Like she would walk to school with her youngest sister and then go to school herself and also come home in time to take care of her mom and the love that goes into that, but it's also so hard to do. And figuring out that balancing act of, do I need to parent? Do I need to pull back? If you're sick, what do I give you? How do I help you feel better? And how to also soothe, her mother, whom was slowly passing. Um, and and she found that through herbalism, which, I mean, she carried for a very long time until she immigrated here, and then, I mean, laws, regulations, and all that, plus a language barrier and an entirely new country, culture, system, and way of life. And she kind of like, she chose to step back and work at a like a prepared foods place, just so that the family could have insurance and we could all, have some foundation of and safety. But she always carried things with her, like when we would go to the Asian store, she would seek out certain things just so, like, I had a fairly weak immune system as a kid. Like, not the worst, but not great. And I remember her, making these herbal soups, which, I mean, they had, chicken in them, or bone broth or pork or lamb or eel or whatever. And I mean, as a kid, I, like most kids, was very, I don't want to drink this. I don't want to eat this. This smells horrible. But, and I don't know when and at what point in my life it it switched, it flipped, and it's now like, oh, it's wintertime. And I know that, like, I have a magnesium deficiency. I should probably make some of like this soup with like these ingredients. And or like, I'm having problems sleeping. I should probably go dig up some valerian root and make some tea. Or, and let's be honest, valerian does not smell in any way flattering. Like, there is a certain underlying note to it that is just not, it's not the world's greatest thing, but it's also not the worst thing on earth. And somewhere along the lines, I hated bitter melon deeply as a kid, and now as an adult, I seek it out. As long as it's prepared correctly, I seek it out, or I'll make it myself. And I feel really good eating these. And within my culture, we almost always have soup as a meal finisher because it helps you digest. And there are certain herbal soups that are really great for nourishing your body while not being so harsh on your body that it's going to have any negative impacts. And I mean, I usually try to make an herbal soup like once every week just to like have something for your soul that's nourishing and also very much so culture, comfort, tradition, and good for you and delicious and simple and easy. And also with all this snow and ice, just warm, like a nice cup or bowl of soup. Um, and the thing about herbal medicine is sometimes there's no fine line between straight up herbal medicine and food, especially in herbal medicine, because sometimes you require, a pork tail to like really get the nutrients out of that and use the fats and the oils to carry the vitamins and minerals and nutrients from the herbs themselves into you. And that is also something that is, I mean, drastically different from well, I won't generalize all of Asia, but I will say, like, from my culture to American culture is the amount of fat that people cut out, and like the amount that people are like, oh, that has oil in it, that's bad. And I'm like, you do realize that like vitamins K, E, A, and D all require oil to be absorbed into your body, because if you don't have that, you don't get that. Like, that is literally the foundation of it. And I mean, throughout college, I worked as a nutraceuticals vitamin, like for a vitamin company, almost until I was in my early 30s. Um, and I still deeply, deeply believe in like I'm not saying people need to go out and take like every single multivitamin in the world. I'm saying get your body tested, figure yourself out. If you have an imbalance, you can correct it. Um, and you probably should because you'll feel so much better. Like I have a magnesium deficiency, so if the temperature goes above about 74 degrees Fahrenheit, my body instantaneously starts pushing out water. It's just like a natural thing. And I had to undergo like magnesium shots every day for 30 days to see if that would help. And it didn't. It was just kind of like I mean it desensitized me to needles, I guess. So that was a bonus. But it didn't actually raise any levels of my magnesium. And the doc was just like, well, your body just doesn't absorb magnesium well. You know, you'll have to take that into account here. And I was like, I deeply, I deeply dislike the system of the health system here and how it's more of a fix it after it happens versus Eastern medication is or Eastern medicine is very much let's balance out your body so that you don't have to go beyond, you know, keeping yourself healthy and in check, and it's preventative. It's more thoughtful personally. But I went to an herbalist in Taiwan that my mom recommended because she was just like, "Well, I know this person," and I mean, she had been out of practice for a hot minute at that point. She was like, "You should go to this person, and also while you're there, thank him because he's the reason I had you." And I'm like, "Ah, okay." But I mean, 30 minutes later, he had made a whole massive bottle of like these tiny little black pills. And you can get it in powder form, but I can't do dry powder in my mouth like that. That sounds like a choking hazard where I'm gonna probably end up doing the cinnamon challenge unintentionally. But you know, and this has been years of me trying to figure out how to fix this. And I was like, well, you know, what's the worst that could happen? And I started taking the pills, and it was like what I felt was an excessive amount, but also natural medicine is a little bit different than pharmaceutical grade chemical. But it worked in the span of like a month and a half. I wasn't completely drenching my shirt from my neck to my pants, just going outside for a walk in the middle of like late Taipei summer, early fall, where it's still like 90 something degrees with like almost 100% humidity. And like the change was visible and it lasted. And I still take them to this day, but I don't take them at like mass quantities. I maybe take like five a day, if that, and it depends on the time of year because in wintertime it's very rare that, you know, my environments are over 74 degrees. So I can dial back. And as soon as I know that heat's coming, I'll like, all right, well, I'll just take like 3 in the morning and then 5 in the morning and then, but that's it. And it's maintained itself. And then the most recent time where I went to the doctor in August, I really want to say August, they took and measured like, you know, the yearly checkup. Um, my doctor was like, "Oh, your magnesium levels are like really good. What did you do?" And I mean, I had to go through the motions of explaining everything, and he's just like, "Oh, interesting, interesting. Well, I mean, it works, so I guess that's all that matters." And I'm like, "Thanks, I guess, but you didn't do it."
Yeah.
Um,
Was that
but
a tailored for you concoction that you
yeah,
still that's awesome.
yeah. Most of the time, every herbalist will like feel your pulse, ask you questions, look at your tongue, and like from those little details are able to just kind of diagnose and really figure out what does this person need? What does this person lack? What does this person, you know, need to utilize and take advantage of so that they can really thrive. And it's a very interesting science that is beyond me. I do not claim to be an herbalist. I know a couple of things because my mom taught me or my grandmother taught me, and like I mean, prime example is me making what I lovingly call period soup. For all of my female friends who have had horrible, horrible periods from the time of like high school into adulthood, my mother used to make this soup for them, and guys can drink this too. It's actually really delicious. It is heavily herbal, but it's one of my favorite soups to make because it's so nourishing, but you can feel really good after your period. Like not me, but
Yeah.
all of my female friends who have really wicked periods, and my mother would make them that soup. To this day, still drink that soup and know how to make it themselves. And it it's carrying love and care and this deep sense of, old world knowledge. And also you can find that mix pre-packaged in stores for the most part now. Like all you have to do is pour the herbs into a bag, throw in like some pork bones or like, a chicken leg quarter and just let it simmer and go until the soup is deep and black and you can eat the meat with it and add a little bit of salt. It's a really delicious, nourishing soup of love, soup of care, soup of intention and wanting you to just feel better and feel healthier. Um, yeah. And there are a couple of friends of mine who have not bothered to learn, so I still make it, but I don't mind. Oh no, I have leftovers for me.
There's something, it's so nice that you can do that because I feel like people too, it's almost like when you go and you have a treat and you share it with somebody and it tastes better, you know? Like I was I made natural deodorant and I initially was like, I'm not selling this. Here's the recipe. And nobody wanted to make it themselves. So I was like, all right, I'll make it as a gift. Um, so I started making it, but it
Hmm.
was really, I think I'm like, people, I think they just liked receiving it, yeah. So they enjoyed it, but it was like, I couldn't get anybody to just make it themselves. It was funny.
That's actually really interesting. So I do make soaps and bath bombs too, and like I have my recipes posted out there in the worldwide internet somewhere, and no one else, I don't think anyone else has ever made it either. But like if I make them and bring them to a market, or when I used to make soap all the time, I mean, people would just be like, "These are great, you should really do more about this." I'm like, I started making soap from early enough in my life that I can't actually place quite where. It was somewhere in my like early teens. And like I have sensitive skin. I needed to not have all this crap in my soap that is so common. And I do buy soap as well. Like I do have body wash from other countries that I use, but I learned how to make soap from my sister, adopted sister, and my mom, who were very much like, what's wrong with your skin, what you can add to this soap to benefit you, and you kind of have the control and ability to just really create something that you love and want to use. So
You have any,
yeah, and
sorry,
go ahead.
you use any emu oil or neem oil as a, okay.
I do use emu oil.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
I deeply, deeply love emu oil, and then synthesized rattlesnake venom is an interesting one for like painkillers, not to eat, but topical painkiller.
Yeah.
But it's not common to find, and I mean, my mother stopped synthesizing it herself ages ago because it's really, really expensive. Um, but like, man, that is like one of the best pain creams I've ever used. And, It's expensive. It's a very hard item to get. And I understand why my mom stopped making it.
It's
Like,
so interesting, though. I've never heard of that. It's so cool.
like, it's, yeah, as a little kid walking into your house with friends coming over and your house smells like an 18th century apothecary, is a little bit mortifying, especially growing up in a totally different culture.
Mm.
And like you have to answer all of these questions of like, what's that smell? What's going on? And like, bubbling vats of black liquid and like piles and piles of random herbs that like I mean as a kid I knew what they were, but most people didn't.
I would have been in
And like
heaven as a kid walking into something like that.
it
I'm
was
like,
it
I
was a
live here
50-50
now.
split.
Yeah.
It was such a 50-50 split. And like I mean some of my oldest friends are like, I remember these smells, and now I like when I smell them when I'm out or like at a store, it instantly brings me to your house and like our childhood, or like when we would hang out and like, I wasn't feeling well and your mom made something or like you made something and I'm like, all right, well, maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. Maybe that little shift is something that was necessary in the world. An extra layer of care.
We have so much we can share in the show notes that are
It's
like so aligned and fun. Um, I've never made wintergreen DMSO from scratch, like in a cream or an ointment. I've always just purchased it, and I found like to me that was like the strongest topical pain relief. And I'm sure there's so many plants you can just, get and make your own. Um,
yeah.
but I think that's the fun part of me not knowing that and being like, well, I do have this one thing that it worked for me. And then, your share with the snake venom, so neat. I've never heard anything like that.
Like,
It's so cool. And that we both
oh,
like making like homemade products too, right?
oh,
Like
oh yeah. Lip
there's
balms, soap, bath bombs, balms, salves, creams. Like, I love tonics especially. I still do make tonics regularly. Not tonics, tinctures. Tinctures?
yeah.
Topical application. Not for ingestion, but just topical applications. I love there's like that sense of beauty in doing so because I love how it looks. I use decanters that have been thrifted, but also it is very much so expensive to make because I usually use like Hennessy or some very strong alcohol to like really leach out everything from the plants that I put into it. And then there's an aspect of patience because you have to wait at least 6 months to a year for like efficacy to be at its most potent. And I don't bother straining it. I literally just leave them in there until they eventually dissolve fully into it. And I use that for like, I sprained my ankle or my wrist is not feeling too great today or oh, I maybe should have been more careful picking up that pucks and now my lower back is killing me. Um, and like it's those little moments where I'm so thankful and so no thankful and grateful are like the things that register because without that knowledge I know that it would be either a random doctor's visit or it would be going to the store and seeing what quote unquote topical pain relief is available. And I mean, I have a bottle of Topricin like right here. So like it's not like I don't believe in that. But I think everything has its own use and I know exactly what goes into every single thing I make. I know where it's sourced most of the time. I know I know where it was grown most of the time. Um, I know what amounts, what concentrations, what like what went into this from like almost a full cycle, especially if it was something grown in my yard. Like I can't say that about I can't say that about Toperson. I can't say that about, Icy Hot or Bengay or whatever else is out there. But also I don't think that they work better, in my opinion. Um, Please no one come after me for that. Uh but yeah. And like being raised in a different culture here is also so eye-opening because a lot of the things that we learn here, or rather, a lot of things that we learn there are not taught here. They're not passed down here. They're not a generational, like, it's and my sister also makes holistic creams and stuff for like mosquito bites and spider bites, anti-inflammatories, and like I use all of those. I know how to make some of them because she's passed me her recipes, but the problem is I either one would have to figure out how to grow most of these plants,
Mhm.
and then two, some of these are specific chemicals that are considered toxic, and then I have to fill out a USDA form and then like explain to them what it's for and why I need it, and it's not the same general knowledge from here to there. And I know that that like should be so obvious. I know that it's not the same country or culture or anything, but it makes me think what we've lost here as far as natural remedies go, and you know what we can maybe preserve and utilize that's already around us. I mean, I grow broadleaf plantain and comfrey and a bunch of other natural things like jewelweed, just because I know that they have a use and I know that I can utilize them for things. But it's not, it's just not out there in the world roaming and for everyone to naturally know. Um, so, yeah.
And it's a little sad. I mean, because we have so many amazing plants around us that kind of grow natively here, and we don't even, or even the ones that don't, just to be able to recognize them, you know? It's,
Oh, and
we don't,
like,
we just, that knowledge is like, we don't, we can't even look and be like, oh, look at, there's nettle and blackberry bushes and tree. It's, we're just not even able to really identify that without
I,
training because it's not passed down, right?
yeah,
So it's like, to me, that's, yeah, I feel the sadness. And I feel it in myself too, right? Like I know I'm really bad at recognizing plants. My sister has this ability to, and she, oh, because she was interested and spent time figuring it out, but recognizes birds. She'll be like, "Oh, that's a," and I'm like, "Dude, that's so cool." And how I think we should, I would like to be, to name a bird and said, "Oh, I'm naming it by its color." I feel so limited in my own experience as a human being. But she's also very good at trees and plants. It's just we'll be driving and she's just constantly like, "That's a," and I'm like, I feel like I'm on a tour of just my environment that I should know.
I'm very much the same way, especially if I'm going to like a random park, or a park that I don't go to often, and I see something, I'm like, oh, hey, and I'm like, I know that you're not supposed to like pick anything, so I try not to like do anything like that. But if it's on like a friend's property, it's fair and wild game. Like I will absolutely like go to town harvesting random things, or like picking random things up just to like ease them into my own garden beds. Like I think Chris is a great example though of stepping into a new culture and learning about it and then figuring out, what he can add to it and what he can take out of it and what he can share from it. And I'm very fortunate that my husband loves gardening. let's be honest, it wouldn't have happened well if he didn't, or rather, it would have happened the way it did if he didn't. Um, but he's so willing to learn and so open to it and accepting and understanding of the history behind things and the why of making, creams and salves and soaps and the full scope of things because it's not a thing that he grew up with. But he also feels the difference when he eats them and uses them. And like, how cool is it to know that like you grew lovage from a seed into this plant that you then harvested and dried and processed and then put into a salve that is now healing your body. And maybe that's why I also have always loved process heavy work. But that's such a beautiful timeline and it's so woven and like interwoven at that. So
I you brought I had like 5 questions, and I think like I will be able to ask those in the future at some point, as it's just, the curiosity. I can also imagine, those stories being done over fire. I don't have a lot of fireplace, uh, you know, I don't have a fireplace, but I do enjoy the thought of future fire gatherings, around like, and there's something about the flame, and I don't mean a
very
toy
much
off of
so.
the community we're in. Just generally, I mean, like sitting around a campfire and having those conversations,
Oh, a hundred
and
percent.
those little intimate, like,
A
I don't know.
1000%, 10,000%. I fully agree with you. Fire is one of the, well, fire is what gave us our humanity in a sense. It's what allowed us to cook our food, to let us live longer, to let us evolve better, and to let us work into and change to who we are today. It's a communal gathering. It's a place of warmth. It's a place of safety. It's a place of love, care, concern, community, the family unit, the ability to be together as one. Um, so no, I fully agree with you on that. Like, and I have a gas fireplace and it kills me endlessly. So, um, one, I don't think that it heats as well as regular fire, but that's a whole different argument. And I know that, wood fireplaces aren't the world's greatest thing, but I do think that there's something about it. Like, if you choose to utilize it in a sense that is multi-purposed, then is it really that much more of a waste than, turning on a bunch of gas and having to have all these detectors and the safety of your family and pets? Um, is it worth it? And I think for me, my answer would still be yes, because I deeply love winters with my family as a child, and like, we wouldn't have to turn on the gas stove. We have a fireplace going. My grandmother would just cook on that. Wrap up some sweet potatoes, throw them to the edges, let them sit for an hour, like 45 minutes to an hour. Put a pot right next to it, let the water come to a boil. You have your soup, put a pan on top. You have like everything else. Like it was just it was love and comfort and peaceful and multi-purpose, but utilized so succinctly and so well thought out and timed. And then, I mean, the whole family would just eat in front of the fireplace. It was an experience. So, I mean, I have a fire pit if you ever want to, if you're ever over here and want to. do something over the flames.
Yeah, I think Virginia has, yes, I want to see you in person. And I do believe Virginia has a sustainable community where they don't have any Wi-Fi. I've always been interested to check that out and hope it was not just one type of person living there. I'm
There.
curious to see, you know, no offense to places that are just one type of person, but to see I like to see variety. Um, because I feel like we bring so much in general of that, like our experiences, but also culturally, it's just nice to see a mix of people in community spaces. So I've always been interested to
Much
check that
so.
out. Yeah. And I
I can do
really
some digging
do.
for you.
Yeah.
Like,
You're
I'll
like,
see what I can find
actually,
out.
that's 20 minutes from me.
I'll do some digging and see what's up. But sorry, what were you saying?
Oh yeah, just I genuinely I want that in my future. What you were describing is like you're heating yourself. People have come together. You're warming your food. You're warming, whatever beverage you want to drink. That multi, yeah. I haven't had that. I've seen it,
Oh,
but I
oh,
want it again.
oh shit, girl. All right, we'll make that happen. That's completely doable. I love cooking over fire. There's something I really hate using the word primal for it, but it is technically primitive tech. But
Yeah.
I don't think that it's outdated. I don't think that I don't think that it needs replacing in the sense of, yes, I know that there are better ways to cook things. Yes, I know that there are a lot of ways that things could be streamlined, but I don't think that what you can do over fire is also achievable on an electric stove or a gas stove, even. I don't think that you could do a full range of motion where it is also heating your house because now, stoves and ranges are meant to vent the heat out. Ovens now have this auto pull cool system. And don't get me wrong, I love my smart oven. It's fantastic. It's not the same. It doesn't it doesn't give the same feel. And everything is cooked perfectly, and I love that. I do. Especially from like a chef standpoint, I love that everything's cooked perfectly and evenly and is is a little too uniform. Which I know sounds so weird, and that's like a duality of being an artist and wanting everything to be perfect, but also realizing that sometimes the beauty is in the imperfections, what makes things deeply, innately, inherently me, why I can make one thing one way with the same materials and someone else can, you know, follow a pattern or a tutorial and make something similar, but not quite the same. And I don't think that that changes with cooking or anything else. But there's also that flavor of fire and a little bit more sense of danger to fire because if you're not careful, well, I mean, you'll get burned. But but there's something that fire adds to food that is different when it's like cooked over fire versus cooked over gas fire or an induction burner or an electric range. It adds this level of, I want to say that it's like it makes things hot, but I can't explain that hot. It's hotter than what gas can do. It's more. And I don't know if I'm like crazy and I'm the only one that thinks that, but like I've always felt that way about it, and I think Chris agrees on that. But but yeah.
That would be fun to just have a whole, either like one type of tea or one, type of coffee, and you're cooking it on three different ranges of heat. You have fire, gas, and your induction or infrared. burner or whatever.
I
And
mean, I have an induction burner, I have a gas range, like I have butane, and I have an indoor grill too. Like there, I have a full wide range of cooking, and I still love the taste and the flavor and the experience of cooking over fire.
Mm.
I also deeply love the smell of smelling like a bonfire, though, so my
Ooh,
hair probably doesn't enjoy that.
you got me thinking. I too like love. I know some people really like cast iron. My flavor is uh definitely just stainless steel for food. It's I don't like nonstick. I won't use nonstick, and
I don't use nonstick.
I don't use iron, or I mean cast iron pans, but stainless steel just like it's like once you go stainless steel, it's hard to go back.
I deeply love carbon steel.
Ooh.
I deeply love carbon steel. It's like you get the
Hmm.
best of both worlds of cast iron and of steel, like stainless steel. But if you treat your, well, this is also because, I use a wok 90% of the time. Even if I'm making French food, I'll still probably use an Asian technique to cook it just because I sometimes don't have well, I do not have the time to spend 4 hours rendering and making something the traditional way in French cooking. But I can apply
Mm.
different techniques that will give you the same texture and results for like coq au vin or boeuf bourguignon. It's, I mean, most of the time it's quicker, not always, but it's doable and it tastes delicious. And using, I mean, using a carbon steel wok is just very much. Oh, did my internet just blip?
Might have, but you're still here.
Okay.
I feel like the
Um,
Descript captured you. It captures it locally and then uploads it. So when we
okay,
get
good.
glitchy, it's always been smooth, which is really neat.
Excellent. Okay. But carbon steel is like you get the best of all these little worlds where you're able to get the nonstick aspect without having nonstick. It's seasoned naturally. It's so easy to take care of as long as you season it well, and you can do so much in that wok. Like I'm able to steam things, I'm able to fry things, I'm able to stir fry, I'm able to saute, I'm able to do the full scope of things. And I mean, you do work a little bit differently between a flat pan and a rounded bottom pan, but hello, Momo. Did you have a good nap? And you like, hi, buddy. And then you have, hi, guys. Hi. Thank you for kisses.
So like
And
it's
then you have like all these flavors and wonders of possibilities that you can create from this. That's not limited to, oh, I need 16 different pans and like nine different ways of dealing with it. And I know that someone who's like a really big like into pans is gonna come after me probably for that, but I would I'd be pretty confident to like say I can make just about anything in that one wok that most people require other pans for. Do
and
you have a flat bottom range or do you have like a what's your range type? Like electric, gas, is it flat or do you have like rungs?
yeah, we have it's electric and it's flat
Okay.
glass top.
I can send you some recommendations for like different price ranges of woks that are carbon steel. Whatever you do, just make sure it's carbon steel. And if you have if you have a flat glass top, then just get a flat bottom wok. It will work
Okay.
just as well. Like it's doable. It's doable, and it makes a huge difference. There is a slight learning curve, but once you get that grasp of it, it's like it sings. The food will just sing and things will just work and flow. And maybe this is like my personal take on it, but I literally have so many pans in my house and I still just prefer using the wok. Um,
Yeah, I take all tips. If you could send me a few links because
yes,
I did have to
absolutely.
open that right now because the curiosity got to me and there's a wide range. And I did see one that was kind of flat versus the, rounder at the bottom. And I'm like, I don't, yeah. And that's always fun, just you narrow down, and so you will be saving me a rabbit hole, as
You,
like, oh, let me
I,
explore. And then it's like 4 hours later, I'm like, ah,
I mean, I
tell me
won't
what
lie.
you,
I love getting into those rabbit holes sometimes,
mm,
just because there no one can know everything, and sometimes you'll like miss these little things that are maybe it's new, maybe it just like was released, and you would have never known about it had you not searched. And like I'm deeply, I don't want to say I'm a brands person though, is my thing. Like I know what I like and I know why I like them. And this is like straight across the board between food to art supplies to like equipment to materials. But there are just some things that I trust, I love to use. I know they work well. I know what their ethics are. I know what they stand for. There's layers of trust that have been built over years and over, centuries and families and history of like I will absolutely go with this brand if they release something that is something that works for me. I'm not saying I don't try new things, but I mean, as far as pans go, I really do try to, I really do try to limit that because we have so many pans. Even when I get rid of them, somehow I feel like they're still coming back. Um, but I mean, a good carbon steel wok doesn't need to be stupidly expensive. It just needs to have it just needs to be taken care of, and it just needs to be well seasoned, which goes into the care. But if you take care of it and you season it well, that pan will last you ages. Like I still have my grandmother's wok, and then I did buy my own wok because miss you, Grandma. Love you so much. Your walk is a little old and a little misshapen from years of being pounded into a certain direction, which I do still use it. It's just there's a little bit extra. There's extra work that goes into using her walk that I don't always have the patience for. Um, but I do still use her walk and her chopping block for that matter. Like,
oh, that's awesome.
but yeah,
I love this. Thank you so much
same.
for conversations with you are just wonderful.
Thank you as well. I thoroughly love this. I love being able to just connect and talk and flow and not worry too much about the nitty-gritties of, how a conversation ebbs with you. It's beautiful. It's so natural and it's so cozy and intimate and inviting. And I love your voice and I need you to, oh, I'm like still internally like shaking. Oh, mm, soon, hopefully soon. Please, please, please. Um,
Um, you you've given me and you give me an opportunity to um, practice the essence of sharing my voice, which is its own journey. And I will practice sharing that at some point. But I'm just acknowledging that I have a lot of gratitude for you, and that's yeah, the
Same.
letting me have a conversation with you and practice this with you is just it means a lot to me.
Anytime. I love these. It's like an old soul, like our souls know each other from another life, and it works, it flows, it just goes. It's nothing is forced, nothing feels, there's no expectations, no um no algorithms or scripts or anything that feels it works. It's organic. And I deeply, deeply love and value that kind of resonance, and especially in the modern world and current times.
Me too.
Like, so I also appreciate you for the moments. Like it's not an everyday thing anymore. And I love that I can have this with you. I think more is needed. Um, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.